Hi there, it's Gabriel here from pilotclimb.com, and in today's video we're going to talk about the Airline Transport Pilot License, also called ATPL frozen. If you're a person that are starting the pilot training journey and your dream is to become an airline pilot, that's the license that you need, and that's the video that you need to watch in order to understand it. Okay, without further ado, let's dive into it. So, what is the Airline Transport Pilot License Frozen? The Airline Transport Pilot License Frozen, also called ATPL Frozen, gives you the possibility to obtain the level of proficiency necessary to enable you to operate as a co-pilot on a multi-engine airplane in commercial air transport. So this is the biggest difference compared to other licenses. Okay, once you got this Airline Transport Pilot License Frozen, you can apply for a position as a co-pilot or first officers in an airline. Without this, you cannot do it. Okay. As we discussed already in the previous videos about the commercial pilot license only, if you only have this license, then you cannot do this. You cannot apply as a first officer in an airline. Okay. After you have the ATPL frozen, you are one step away from your application as a co-pilot in your favorite airline. Okay, that's very important to understand. Your goal is to become, if your goal is to become an airline pilot and one day to wear the fourth stripe, this is a course you have to undertake. But what exactly is an ATPL frozen? So, we refer as an ATPL frozen when you have a commercial pilot license and you have a certification that certificates that you have passed the 14 ATPL exams. Okay, so it's not really a license. When it's called frozen, you don't own the world license yet. What you own is a commercial pilot license with a certification that says that you have passed the 14 exams. You will get your full ATPL, your full license, Airline Transport Pilot License. Once you start to fly, you get minimum experience, which is 1,500 hours, and then you go for another exam, and then only then you get the Airline Transport Pilot License. But even though you sign for an Airline Transport Pilot License frozen course, you're going to receive a commercial pilot and a certification of 14 exams that says that you passed them, okay? But that is what you need in order to apply for an airline. Okay, so within the ATPL frozen, after you have all this as well, you will do a multi-crew coordination course, MCC course, and we're gonna talk about this in another video. So as you can see, it's a group of lessons and ratings that are commonly called ATPL frozen. Okay, so again, don't expect that at the end of your ATPL frozen course to get an airline transport pilot license, because you will not. You're gonna get a commercial pilot license. Okay. So in reality, with the ATPL frozen, you don't hold the full license yet. This is why it's called frozen. Instead, you hold a CPL with a ATPL theoretical exam certificate, okay? And this is enough to apply for a job in an airline. So, but what is ATPL frozen, modular or integrated? The modular integrated type of courses basically allows you to do this course in a different way and bring you to the same result at the end. With the modular course, as it says, is a modular course, so you need to do one license, and then at the end get the final result, which is the ATPL frozen. Okay, so let's do an example. Let's do an example for a person that starts with zero experience. Okay, one guy do the modular type of course, and the other guy do the integrated course. The guy with the modular type, what happens is that he goes to a school, he does the PPL. At the end of his course, he does the theoretical exam and the practical exam. Then he does 150. He does the hour building up to 150 hours that allows him to get into the commercial pilot license course. Then he does the commercial pilot license. In the meanwhile, he does as well the 14 exam of the ATPL that we discussed earlier in this video. Okay. The guy with the integrated course, instead, he goes to a school, he signs up, and he does only one course that brings him to the end. And he will only do the 14 ATPL theoretical exam and the commercial pilot license skill test flight. Okay, so as you can see, a guy that goes the integrated course is more like go to university and study, go to school every day, and the modular course is like a self-learning kind of course, because you do one step, then you do another step, and then you do another step. Okay, so it is very important to understand the differences, okay, because depending on your personal situation, you may choose to do one thing or another. Personally, I did the modular course because I didn't have the money ready, I was working, and I didn't have a lot of time spare to do the licenses. So what happened is that I went to a school, I signed up for a private pilot license, I got my private pilot license done, then I was flying when I was off and I had money, and then I built up my hour, built into 150 hours, then I went to another school, and I started the CPL. Okay, let's say if I would have money and time, I would have gone to the school that gives me the chance to do the ATPL integrated. I would have signed for that, and then the whole course will have been focused on me to become an airline transport pilot first officer. Okay, so in that case, as you can see here, there are lots of differences, and the integrated course normally is a lot more efficient because it's all focused on the final target of becoming a first officer on an airline, in an airline, and is a lot shorter. Well, it depends. It could be very short. So it depends on the school, it depends on you, but normally the airline transport pilot license integrated course, it lasts like 1 year and a half. So from zero to 1 year and a half, in 1 year and a half you will be able to apply for a position as a first officer. Whether the modular course really depends on how much money you have, how much time you have, and the schools as well. To me, it took me 3 years to do the whole ATPL frozen modular course, but allows me to as well spread the cost of the course within these 3 years. Because if I would have gone into the integrated course, I will have to pay the whole course within 1 year and a half. So it's a big difference. What is best for you? It really depends on your personal situation. If you are a young guy, you have free time, you have the money available, you have all these conditions that are met, then I would recommend you to go for the integrated because it's more efficient, it's better focused on your final target, which is the first officer as in an airline, and you're gonna get the course done within a shorter period of time. If you are working or you don't have the money ready, or you're really not sure if that's gonna be your career, then start with a PPL and take it from there. Okay, so it really depends on your situation. Normally the people that are working and don't have the money ready, they go for a modular course, and the guys that they have the clear ideas that they want to become an airline pilot, they have the money, the time, they go for integrated. Take your time, make a decision, make sure you do the right decision, because then it's gonna really, it's a big decision to make in your career, your training career. Okay, so now that it's clear what is modular and integrated course, let's go through the requirement to start the ATPL frozen. You need to be 18 years old. You need to have a valid class 1 medical. If you don't know what is a class 1 medical, I strongly recommend you to watch the video about the medical licenses that I made a few days ago, or read the part of this blog post. The secondary school, you need a secondary school grade or higher, good knowledge of mathematics and physics, and good knowledge of English. Okay, so these are the minimum requirements to study ATPL frozen. Okay, the ATPL integrated course structure, the theoretical part is 750 hours in a classroom, and you've got these subjects which are listed here, from air law to operational procedure, human fact to meteorology, all the sort of things that you need to know in deep in order to become an airline pilot. Once you finished, or once you've got this subject ready, you're gonna go and do one exam per each subject. So there will be one exam for air law, it's gonna be one exam for mass and balance, one exam for aircraft general knowledge, one exam for performances. The type of the exam is normally as multiple choice exam. There are some exams such as navigation, if I'm not wrong, general navigation, here we go, where you've got multiple choices and then you've got some exercise to do. Okay, so this kind of more open answer questions. Okay, but in general there are multiple choice exams where you have like four a question and then four possible answers, and that's it. If you study, again, my advice here, what I've seen from my training from my instructor career, is that people normally they get focused on the exam and not on the training part. So it's very important that you actually study a lot first. You get a very good grasp on each of these subjects, because this is gonna be the knowledge that will be with you for the rest of your life. If you don't have good knowledge, then all these things, all these subjects will disappear after a few years, and you will be not a very great I mean, your knowledge is gonna disappear basically. So my suggestion is study a lot, go through the manuals, and then once you've got a good knowledge of all these subjects, go and practice the data bank of the quiz, because there are these data banks where all the possible questions are inside, all the possible exam questions are inside these data banks, and then practice quiz, and that's very important, because if you have a huge knowledge of each subject, that doesn't really assure you that you will pass the exam. But you need both. You need to study a lot and need and know a lot about that subject, then you need as well to get familiar with the questions, because as you know, the questions are always tricky sometimes. Where you can get the data bank, I'm sure the school you choose will give you will guide you how to get that, but lots of students will have it for sure. Okay, we do some researches online. There are some paid ones where you can get, I think the data banks are around 10,000 possible questions of all these subjects, and then you just practice, okay, after you have a good grasp and knowledge. Okay, so then you have the practical part of the integrated course, which is 195 hours of flight training, which is divided into dual flight training and solo flights and some simulator if you wish. Okay, so the dual flight training is a flight that you do with an instructor where he teaches you how to fly, basically. Depending on which part of the course you are, is going to teach you different sort of procedures and maneuvers and instrument flight and so on. Solo flights, when is basically you're gonna fly solo whenever when your instructor think that you are ready and think that the conditions are met, they allows you to go and fly solo, which is the best part of it, all the whole course. And then you've got the simulator, some simulator as well embedded into the ATPL integrated course. I recommend you to go and do some simulator, because the simulator is very good, because normally simulator is used to learn how to fly only looking at the instrumentation. So what happens is that, let's say during your training, real flight training lessons, and you're learning how to fly with instrumentation, let's say you do a mistake on final approach, okay? So before you can practice that procedure again, you have to take off again, go around, and then go for another approach. That means that you're gonna lose a lot of times doing this, okay? And that time for you is very important, because you want to make sure that your training is optimized as much as possible. So with the simulator instead, if you do a mistake on the final approach, the instructor can freeze you, put you back in the position where you were before you did the mistake, and then practice again. And you can do all these things all day long if you wish, and that's a great plus for the simulator, okay? So my suggestion is do some once you get to the instrument part of your training, okay? At the end of your ATPL integrated course, you will need to undertake the multi-crew coordination course. More about this course in the next session. Yes, the MCC, as you can see, the multi-crew coordination is really the last step that you have to do in order to apply for an airline. We're going to talk about that in the next video. So if you scroll down in the blog post that you can find on pilotclimb.com, you can see that I've gone to the EASA website, and then I did this extract where they basically really put you, they really do this breakdown of the hours that you need to do in the practical part of your training for the ATPL frozen course, and you can read exactly within these 195 hours you need to do 95 hours of this, 70 hours of this, 50 hours of this. So if you really want to go in deep and know exactly what you have to do within these 195 hours of practical training, you can do so by reading this extract from the EASA website. So now, let's talk about the modular course. The modular course is structured in a way that in order to finish the whole course, you need to acquire the private pilot license first, then do the hour building, then reach the minimum hours to get to start the CPL, and then take the 14 theoretical exam. Complete the skill test for the CPL, and then do the MCC course. So what happens is that the difference between integrated and modular is that with the integrated course, it's a lot more smoother, the course, and the modular is a little bit more, you have to do some other things, you know, because a lot of the things are done by yourself. For example, the hour building in the modular course, which is approximately 105 hours, is basically you flying around, you know. So in the integrated course, these hours is still kind of a training hours. So at the end of the day, it really depends on you. But again, if you can go for the integrated course, it's a lot more efficient and everything. If you cannot, no worries. I did the modular course, it went all fine for me, and I was very happy at the end of the course. So to know more about the requirement and the course structure of the PPL and CPL, check the blog post, the previous part of the blog post, or check the previous videos as well. So the next, that's basically the end of the ATPL. If you have any questions, just please leave a comment below, and then I'll be more than happy to answer you. If you want to get more information and more training pilot content, just subscribe to the channel and subscribe to pilotclimb.com. I hope you like the video. If you like it, give it a like. And in the next video, we're going to talk about the multi-crew coordination course. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.